What is up, everybody? This is Marshall Lee of DocuJobProjects.com, and today I have a guest, Dave Hingley, on. How you doing, Dave?
Hiya, you're right. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Good.
And we've I feel like I had you on before, but it wasn't on an early bird Artcast. I feel like you popped into a live stream at some point. I could be wrong, but
No, I'm literally a long time listener, first time caller.
oh, all right, cool. Well, you've been on the list of people who could come on for a while. But either way, I think it's because I've watched your videos. Maybe that's why I feel like I've had you on. But
Yeah.
anyways, where can people, I guess, give a little introduction of who you are, what you do, and where people can find you.
Well, my name's Dave. I draw comics for sort of fun. Um, there'll be a link to my Twitter feed, and you can find all my social medias there. I've been back into drawing comics for about 5 years now. Actually, I think a lot of people have sort of got back into comics after roughly a 5 year period. Everyone's sort of getting in roughly at the same time.
Hmm.
And so we've done work together on D100's Werewolves versus Unicorns and Other Mythical Creatures anthology.
Mm-hmm.
I've also submitted to a bunch of other anthologies. Oh, you can't see my hands. I'm sort of talking with my hands, but they had a shot. So I've submitted to a bunch of other anthologies, and that's what I'm kind of interested in doing at the moment, is submitting to lots of different things. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So for me, like I'll share a little bit about my experience. Here is, Dave's been around for a while. He's been doing the 100 days making comics. And that's where I first got to know you. And also you've become a part of the AAA Discord, which I really appreciate, for one, and for two, it's just been really inspiring because you're definitely one of the people who's just really like going at it, making comics, getting stuff done. And you know, if there when I created that little challenge earlier in the year, make more who can make the most comics in 2020. Um, you know, we were thinking, how everybody was thinking, how are we going to beat Peter because he's so prolific? And even Peter chimed in. He's like, I don't know. We're going to have to see who's going to beat Dave because Dave's pretty prolific. And I was like, yeah, that's true too.
Unfortunately, I think Pete is going to run away with it this year because at the start of the year, I had a couple of really big commissions and I couldn't spend the time that I would normally like to spend on comics. I was doing these illustration jobs for other people, so my comics took a hit, unfortunately. But there we go.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't fold your cards just yet
Yeah.
because there's still a lot of year left, and you really never know who's gonna, run ahead or fall behind or do what. So I mean, I feel like I might not make it, but at the same time, comics is a marathon, and it's easy to kind of, you know, think you're not doing a lot of progress, but at the same time, everybody else is, working hard at and trying to get these things done too. So, it takes a lot. So,
Yeah.
but if you guys want to check it out, in the description already, Dave's YouTube channel is in there, and he posts videos pretty regularly. And so that's really cool to watch your progress with that.
Thanks.
And also, I will put a better link in for Twitter, but you can find him at Hingley _ Dave on Twitter. And I did put that in there, but I need to put an actual link in there. So, but anyways, today I wanted to, well, actually, Dave brought this up, but I was also thinking about this because we've had a little discussion in, the Discord and stuff about it and some other things. But we obviously have a situation worldwide. It's crazy, but at the same time, there's a lot of good that can kind of eventually come from it. And one thing that is kind of on the brighter side is, we're all going through it together, like literally the whole world. So it's like, it's not like we're all facing the same thing. And so, and it's kind of interesting because that rarely, if ever, happens. We haven't had an alien invasion yet. We haven't had certain other threats.
Yeah.
This is the first time we're kind of really dealing with something like this on a global scale in a long time. So it's just interesting because through now we have the internet, and it's crazy like how more connected a lot of us are, and I have so many friends, especially in the UK, where Dave's from, and different other places, Australia, all over the world. And so it's interesting, like you hear these reports, and then you know, about what's going on in different places. And then, oh, wow, Italy is crazy. Well, let me go talk to Teresa, see how she's doing. Hopefully she's okay, which she is doing well, if anybody's wondering. But, it's just like all these different places. And we're all facing it. And, what's interesting too is a lot of countries have shut down. Basic non-essential businesses. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, my job is deemed essential. A lot of them are deemed essential. It's kind of surprising, but you know, so I have to work, but at the same time, this hits the kind of the entertainment side of things. That's not really essential. So what is comics entertainment? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff, movie theaters, any movie that had planned to come out anytime during this period is pretty much screwed unless they kind of delay, or whatever they're going to have to do. But they're going to take a big hit. We already see that movie theaters, the movie industry as a whole has taken a huge hit. So it's really crazy. And another entertainment industry that has been struggling for a long time is the comic book industry. And the Diamond Distribution is a monopoly, basically a monopoly in the comic book industry. And they said they're closing shop for a little while. They have to. I mean, they're non-essential. They don't really have a choice. And this is a big blow, especially to comic shops out there. Comic shops have, in the recently have, I guess in the last few years, I think it's been for a while, a long time now, really, even since the 90s boom, have been on a pretty steady decline. That a lot of shops have gone under. There's been some that have popped up and stuff. But it's a really tough industry to weather a storm like this. And I think, unfortunately, we're going to lose a lot of shops probably after this time. And my heart goes out to the people who own these shops and the families that are affected. And hopefully, one thing I read in an article is, even with whatever other kind of issues comic shops have gone through, a lot of times they're run by people who are passionate about comics. And because of that, they find a way to push through and continue. But I mean, we've already been seeing a decline, so I'm sure we're going to be seeing a sharper decline on comic books, and it's going to be tough to dig their way out. I've already reached out to my comic shop, and I haven't heard back yet, but I'm going to probably give them a call soon too. But I've reached out on Facebook to say, hey, I don't need to get my comics now, but I'm happy to pay for whatever's in my bin now. And, maybe some back issues, maybe I can make a purchase or share if you have like auctions, or, I don't know what, I know Peter Samedi of Alterna Comics has mentioned, some of these places have gift cards that you can purchase and stuff. So there's ways to still support your comic shop. A lot of us have relationships with the owners because it's a very community-based type of business. So, reach out to the people over at the comic shops, I would say, to see if you can help support. And I don't know what the implications are going to be on DC and Marvel. The comics division, obviously, they're probably going to be doing okay because of the movies, and Marvel's owned by Disney. So, I mean, Disney's not going under anytime soon. But I don't know what the impact's going to be there, but it's pretty interesting. What's your take on what this impact might be?
I think we're going to be looking at a very interesting future. Here's as I understand it, what some of the core problems you're going to have. If you're a shop, say totally purely comics, nothing else, just comics, you're pretty much hosed right now. Because you've got nothing coming in, you've got no one buying, you've probably still got the outgoings. That's it. Most shops won't have cash flow to weather them through like more than 2 months. And we this is a situation that's unfolding. We don't know how long this situation is going to last. I think other shops, like my comic shop is Midden Planet, so that's like a chain.
Mhm.
So it's got all the normal comics, but it's also got like Funko Pops and I don't know, T-shirts and all that sort of stuff. So they've diversified enough that they can probably weather the storm to a certain extent. But in the future, who knows? I mean, everyone's saying, "Oh, this is the time for digital to step up," but here in England, Comixology have just increased their prices 60%.
Oh,
So
really?
you're now paying the same price for a digital book as you are for a print book. There's no bonus on buying that. So, and also it's the same thing with iTunes. So with iTunes, you buy a piece of music, or you think you buy a piece of music. You don't own it. Apple could take it away at any point. Um, just a second. Sorry, my phone. Sorry about that.
That's right.
They can take it away, and you can see it with Netflix. Oh, we don't need DVDs. We've got Netflix. But if you want to watch a film that was on Netflix last week and they've taken it off, you don't own it anymore. So a post-COVID comic scene could be very interesting. I think your big two are going to have to start to sort of trim the fat. They're going to have to start getting lean and mean. Now, was it Jim Shooter that had this rule that if a comic was selling under 10,000 copies, it was basically it was no good. Scrap
Right.
it, cancel it, get something else out there. We might have to sort of. I can see the big two sort of going. We're flooding the shelves with books that are not really selling in the numbers that we want. And shops are being forced to buy these books. Diamond are saying, "Hey, you want the variant covers? You've got to buy 20 copies of Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel or Squirrel Girl or whatever that they don't particularly want because they want these variant covers or whatever." And it all goes through sales. The sales are only ever counted as what goes to the shop. It's never what leaves the shop. So the shop is stuck with, loads of copies of various comics that they just can't sell.
Yeah.
And they're losing money on it every month. That can't continue. Can't continue.
Yeah.
Especially when you've got. Oh,
Oh,
sorry,
go
go on,
ahead.
Marshall.
Oh, no, you can go ahead if you complete your thought.
Well, especially if you've got like essentially one monopoly, essentially just ruling the roost. You need some competition. That will help. I think that will help drive prices down, or if not drive prices down, at least increase the returns that shops are getting. I mean, I don't know how much is in a comic book in America. $6.
Yeah, I mean, it varies. Somewhere between 3 to 5, usually, somewhere around there.
It strikes me as it's kind of pricey for something that supposedly is a hobby for kids with their pocket money.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't think can be a sustainable price. And I think the reason it's priced that way is that Diamond could control who buys what and how much they're buying for, and what the unit price is going to be, and what the returns are going to be, and
Yeah.
it's essentially it's kind of a rigged game for the shops. Well, it's rigged for Diamond, the shops
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
shops are
No
getting
doubt.
it. Yeah.
It's really, uh, there's a lot there's been a lot of discussion about why this is happening, why we're already kind of have been in crisis with comics, especially when it comes to the mainstream. Quality of stories is a big discussion that happens. The price, I feel like, has been inflated unnaturally.
Mm.
And there's a lot that goes into it. But yeah, it's not. I think the whole point is it hasn't been very sustainable, and honestly, this might be the straw that kind of breaks the camel's back
Yeah.
at this point. And I think what was it? Another thing that Peter Cimenti, I saw, he tweeted, and this is what I immediately started thinking of too, is, comic shops have a huge inventory. Every comic shop I go into has way more comics than they sell. They just have a ridiculous amount of inventory that they've been building up through the years. People sell their comic collections to comic shops, and they just have usually tons of back issues. They got all these toys that are sitting collecting dust. A lot of places are like this. This is the time to like start, I feel like, getting rid of some of that inventory, like see what you can sell, but bring down the prices, do whatever you need to do, because you can't just sit on that inventory forever. If you get a bunch of stuff in a year, I don't really understand all the business stuff, but I know even in the business that I work in, if you don't sell stuff that you have received within a year, within a financial period, within even a month, if it's sitting there on the shelf, you're actually losing money. And it's got to be the same for comic shops. So that was one of the first things I thought. Yeah, like, start doing some auctions, even if it's on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. I mean, obviously there's eBay. um, and to me, like, I think it would be cool to, if my shop did auctions or something, and I could share that out to people. That the world is out there, there's a lot of people connected to a
Sure.
lot of different people. Um, and I don't even care. Like, if I were to buy something, I don't need to get it until after all this is over. I'm cool. Like, we don't even need to ship it. Like, whatever. You still can ship, but like, whatever. Like, let's be in this together. Let's try to still reduce, the spread of this virus, at the same time support our shops. So I think there's a lot we can do on that side, but also on the indie side, uh, you know, it's sad to see, a beloved industry go through this. But at the same time, we, us on the indie side, we kind of have, I don't know, it's hard to, I don't want to put this in a crass way, but there is opportunity. There has been for a while, because of the struggles of the mainstream comic book industry. But with this, it even just kind of emphasizes that even more. Us who are on the indie side, we need to be working as hard as we can to get our passion projects out, work on our comics, get as much as we can out. And there's obviously avenues that kind of cut through some of this mess. We don't have, like, a lot of us don't have like some kind of big business we have to sustain. It's just us doing our thing all by ourselves. And whether we sell 5 comics this month or not really doesn't do anything, because we have our own other jobs or whatever it is we have that are sustaining us. So, there's a lot of opportunity here. And I know, I mean, I'm already on the path of trying to do this anyways, make comics, but this even puts a little more fire under my butt to be like, you got to
Yeah,
really start producing and make this thing happen. And that's a flooded market, but at the same time, there's no reason why we can't make our own impact, individually.
absolutely. Here's a question for you, Marshall.
Yeah.
Um, although I noticed a lot, I mean, do you think now is a good time to be doing like a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo for a book at this stage? And people are sort of, yes, they've got more free time. Yes, there might be a desire for comics, but they might not have another paycheck for X number of months. Is that a good time? I noticed that a lot of people seem to be abandoning or postponing their Kickstarters, and
Yeah. I mean, my sense, I don't know the definite answer, but my sense has been, because I've thought about that too. Like, I don't happen to have anything ready to go to Kickstarter at the moment, but um, my sense has been, if I did, I feel like I would postpone it. One thing that's interesting though is, I mean, I would say, like, if it's something that isn't like your big like main thing, but it's just maybe like, uh, you know almost an experiment Kickstarter, I would say maybe give that a shot, because I'm sure, I haven't looked at Kickstarter or Indiegogo, but I'm sure that there probably isn't a lot of campaigns out. So you'll be, a bigger fish in a smaller pond right now.
that's true.
So in that way, yes, but at the same time, and people do have, disposable income. Even in this situation, some people do. But at the same time, right now, the income is being strained. A lot of people are holding tight to what they have for now, because they don't know what could happen in the future. The economy is unsure at this point. Although the market did pop up yesterday from the decline, because of some of the things that President Trump said and stuff. But you still never really know, what's going to happen with this. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So I think, if this is like your passion project and you've been waiting for a long time to put your Kickstarter out, I would say, I personally, my sense is maybe hold off, and make sure, it's a good chance to make sure that Kickstarter is really truly ready. And
It's true.
also, make sure your project is really truly ready. I wouldn't wait till too late in the year, because you want to ship out I've heard this before. If you don't ship out your comics in the same year that you do your Kickstarter, you can actually lose money because of the taxes involved with that. So,
Sure.
you don't want to wait too late. And also, you probably don't want to shoot it off right after this whole, virus thing ends, because everybody's going to be wanting to do that. Everybody's going to be chomping at the bit to do that. So, maybe delay it a little bit, but
Yeah.
that's my sense, at least.
Well, I'm doing the same thing. I've just finished my first book. It's ready to go. 32 pages. Um, and I'm sort of like, oh, it's going to be great. I was going to launch it in April. Um, but I've sort of decided, oh, money's tight for me personally. I'm not kickstarting it. I'm actually just going to print it and distribute it myself, because
Mm.
the print costs were at the time affordable, and they in a normal environment they could still be affordable, but in these crazy days, who could say? So I'm sort of holding fire on that one. But I think that Kickstarter, Indiegogo, crowdfunded books definitely seem like there could be an increase in it. There's been a lot of very successful crowdfunded books recently. Uh, there seems to be less sort of fly by night, take the money and run sort of people doing them. So people are actually buying, or they're kickstarting the book, and they're getting a book in a sort of timely manner, and that's good for everyone else doing Kickstarter. The downside of that, though, is if you've got an oversaturated market and you've only got, I'm a single consumer, I've only got X number of pounds or
Uh-oh, looks like he froze there for a second. But speaking about the whole Kickstarter thing, hopefully he can pop back in if he falls out. But speaking about the whole Kickstarter thing, you know, I think that it is. I think maybe possible though. Like if you have kind of like a moderate campaign, and it's not like your big kind of passion project. I don't know, like if it's like a say $500 to $1,000, maybe think you're shooting for, it is possible that you could still kind of make an impact, I think, and have a successful campaign. You might not want to do it if you're really trying to get the most bang for your buck. I think that maybe this isn't the perfect time for that, but if you have kind of like a moderate, and it really depends on your audience too. If you've done Kickstarters before, and what your audience basically generally is, and you're kind of shooting for maybe a little lower than that because you just have a book that's ready and you want it to be out. Maybe you have a more substantial Kickstarter you want to do later in the year or something, and this is just kind of a leading up to that kind of thing. And you've already, even like he was talking about, like you've already kind of printed it, and you have maybe you already have the money. I think that's one thing too. Like if you already have the funds to kind of put this project together, um, you know I think then it's almost a no-brainer to do a Kickstarter or Indiegogo, because that's just really an effort to kind of gain a little more momentum and gain another um, audience and stuff, because Kickstarter and Indiegogo actually, um, it helps kind of get the word out about your comic a lot of times. Yes, you want to come to it with an audience, but at the same time, it can also help you have kind of grow a larger audience. And like there's been times where I'm like, I could probably put this out on my own, but I know I'll actually have a bigger impact if I do a crowdfunding campaign. More people will get interested. It's just it's the culture of what we do now. People expect, almost expect you to do like in the Indiegogo and Kickstarter. So I don't know if Dave's going to end up being able to come back, but I'm glad he was able to chime in, because I'm going to have to get going soon anyways. I have to get to work once again. But just a word about what's going on here is, a lot of the people who watch this, a lot of you in the chat and stuff. Hi, by the way, I see Russ is in there talking, Kirk, Stephenson, McCoy, a bunch of people are here saying hello and stuff. Kirk says shipping in general is very slow right now, and that's one thing, is the shipping is still going on, but it's true, it is slow, and how much are you going to be able to depend on shipping? I don't know at this point. So that's definitely something to think about. Oh, and Kirk says maybe it's a better time to start a web comic, which I think is interesting. And Dave did bring this up, the digital side of things. I think Comixology has done it wrong in a lot of ways. Personally, I mean, that's my opinion, but their prices are the same as an actual physical issue a lot of times, and that's not, I don't think that's a sustainable way to do digital comics, and I think that's why digital has not, that's a big part of why it hasn't taken over. In Japan, digital has taken over to a certain extent. It looks like Dave probably won't be back. His internet went down. But you know, um, the but they've done, Shonen Jump does like a subscription thing, which I actually subscribe to, because and you can have access to everything in the Shonen Jump library, and it's pretty awesome. I actually really love that. I've spent a lot of time reading comics on there. So there's different ways to kind of go about digital comics. And of course, free. What's a better price than free? This might be the time to really knock out your web comic. I know Teresa has a web comic, that's pretty cool. And a lot of other people in the audience do. So I would definitely, if that's something that's been a big part of your plan, push forward on that, try to get the word out the best you can. And, who knows, maybe run a Kickstarter for the trade paperback or something, or get ready to, work towards that and then run a Kickstarter later, an IndieGoGo or something. There's a lot of opportunity here. For indie creators, we can be more nimble. We don't have all the stuff dragging us down that the mainstream comic industry has, and that's how we can actually have an advantage in this situation, and really just the comics industry in general. We've already had that advantage, so this is just makes that even more. But also, like I said, support your comic shops. These are real people with real families, and I don't know, for me personally, I have a soft spot in my heart for comic shops. I've been a patron of many of them. Really, had lots of good conversations. I've built friendships. Some of my best friend, I have a really good friend, at least one, and a few, in the community that, I see them in the shops and have conversations, and it's a really great, I think it's still a really great place. That's actually almost a place of Zen for me, to go to a comic shop, and I actually can feel like my body relax, because I'm like in a place where, and I know a lot of people don't always feel this way, because sometimes comic shops are kind of weird, especially for, the common person. But for me, I love comics, so to me, it's like, this is so cool. I get to look at all this cool art, and, it's something, and I like to look through back issues, and it's just a lot of cool things to me about comic shops. So I'm trying to do what I can to support my local comic shops, and I would definitely suggest everybody else do the same. And I don't know, that's kind of where I'm at with it. There's stuff going on in the chat, and I could probably talk about this forever, but I do have to get back to work to this morning and get ready. So other than that, I really appreciate you guys coming on. Remember, Dave Hingley, Hingley_Dave on Twitter, and his link for his YouTube is in the description. You can also just type it in on YouTube and he'll come right up, Dave, Hingley. And he's rocking and rolling. He makes comics pretty prolifically on in his kind of own indie way. And I almost just spilled my coffee. So he's definitely somebody to follow, that I've enjoyed reading his comics and stuff. So definitely check him out. I'm sure he'll be on the show again at some point. But yeah, we're going to have another show tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. So Russ, who's been in the chat, he's actually going to be on. And then we have another one Friday and another one probably Saturday. We're going to just keep rolling on these live streams for a little while, especially while everybody's at home, kind of, staying at home. Like, I want to be able to provide something positive for people to enjoy, on a daily basis if I can. So hope everybody is doing well. Stay healthy, and stay vigilant as far as, keeping your distance from people and doing your best to kind of stay sane within, a lot of people are probably going through cabin fever right now and stuff. But there's a lot of things you can reach out online, reach out to your family. I've talked to some people that I don't always talk to, things like that. And it is a good opportunity to kind of, just be, not necessarily always be around family, but to reach out and have some conversations and stuff. So, whatever it is you do, stay healthy, do your thing, and stay safe. And I will talk to you on the next live stream tomorrow. All right. Peace out.